The senior developer job posting asked for more than 5 years coding experience. But the most productive developer on your team graduated last year and barely writes code. Meanwhile, your 10-year veteran is struggling to keep up. What's happening? The entire definition of developer skill has quietly transformed, and most teams haven't noticed. Welcome to Going to Production podcast. All right, so there's a concept in development, I guess, that was, I guess, very popular back in the day, especially when you and I were working together. It was, we pushed it pretty hard.
Right.
And that is the idea of pair programming, right? And so the really, really simple idea was two programmers at one computer. Right? They both have keyboards. Like this whole setup was very specific, wasn't it? Two monitors, two keyboards, two mice, but they're working off the same computer. And they switch off working, like driving, I guess, each day. And the whole idea is two engineers are going to create something way better and more meaningful than a single programmer. I'm sure that everybody listening to this that hasn't heard about pair programming is immediately yelling about all of the things that we already are aware of, and I'm not really going to go down there.
Right.
But
different podcast.
Yeah. In all our conversations, though, the thing that got me was the idea, following the pair programming ideas, the gist of it at least, but you're pairing with a large language model. AI, right? That's your pair, is your developer, and then you're pairing with the AI. Now, given your role and all that, obviously you're going to be using the AI in different ways, right? But that was the example for it. And as we went down this path, we started talking about, developers, because like this is the hot topic. Is so many big companies are gutting their developer teams, right? Saying, oh, AI is going to write the whole thing for us, and we don't need all those programmers anymore and all that.
Right.
But, we both agree that that's not the case. It's just things are shifting there, right? So let's think about, because I think the role on the developer team, the entry-level developer, is probably the most affected by AI and the ability for AI to write code. Let's start there.
So let's start with, I don't agree that is actually affecting engineering or computer science.
Okay.
So I've heard a lot about many very respected folks, CEOs, and many others make that claim. But that's not really what's happening. I think, obviously this is Wael's opinion here. But
that's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Really, I think what's happening is there's a shift. Here's the transformation. The transformation is AI becoming your pair, which is a nice way to think about it, is no different than two engineers being on the same computer. How so? When you had two people on the same computer, why was that an advantage? You had somebody who most likely knew design, architecture, direction, target, name it, knew the context. Mm-hmm. And the other one, and obviously they read the story, they kind of know what's going on.
Right.
And the other one is saying, here's how I'm going to do it. And the other guy is kind of like, or girl, they're watching saying, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
You didn't fulfill the story. You didn't do the right thing there. There's a better pattern.
One's kind of saving the other one from themselves.
So what we're getting at is one is ensuring quality and putting in check the person delivering
code quality.
Yeah. And delivering the right value.
Right.
So let's bring that back to today's world.
Delivering the right value is filling the story.
Filling the story correctly.
Yeah.
I can read the story and interpret it in potentially different ways.
Right.
But the person with context, the person thinking about what's being done, thinking about the result of what's being done, is providing context. and ensuring that things get done correctly. So pair programming worked for that reason,
Yes.
right? That was the value. But fast forward to 2025, AI is in the mix. AI can do a lot. And I'm sure a lot of VPs and everybody else is going to be happy to hear this, but maybe you don't have to pay for 2 engineers at this point to do the same job. But now you got AI potentially being your second pair.
Right.
And obviously there could be a cost saving there.
And the large language model is way cheaper than another engineer.
Yeah, even if you say this is like $200 a month or
Yeah.
$500 a month, it's really nothing in
Not the
comparison.
salary. Yeah.
But what did we gain? We gained the same kind of thinking. We gained the ability that through pairing, one of the two, which we know who's the one, knows the context, knows the architecture, knows the right target.
Right.
The other one is just performing.
It's just good at recoding.
It's just performing.
Yeah.
That's the transformation. So kind of transitioning into the concept of our entry level programmer. The entry level programmer, from a code writing capability, their ability is just enhanced tenfold.
Right.
I no longer, as an entry level, even if I graduated out of top named university, I'm no longer tied to, I just learned this, the basics, if you will, or I learned the patterns in college, but I've never applied them. So you're still entry level because when it comes to the professional settings, there's a lot of complexity in algorithm.
Right.
There's a lot of complexity behind the details.
And I think actually, so playing on that.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, you had a good kind of anecdotal story about that.
Right.
And I want to hear that again. But I want to be clear that I think there's different levels of pair programming with AI.
Right.
And my entry or my initial level and the way that I actually kind of got comfortable doing this was I'm still writing the program classically as I've always done, but for either the boilerplate stuff or the simple functions or whatever, or if I have to write bash, I never remember any kind of syntax for bash or PowerShell or something. So that's where I'd look to AI to say, look, give me a function. It takes in this, it spits out this, do the middle part. I don't really care because it's just something. So that is kind of how I got started. But I think that that's not really using AI to its power. That's just kind of, help. Instead of going to Stack Overflow, we're asking AI. What we're talking about here, correct me if I'm wrong, is we're talking about using AI to fully write the feature.
Yeah.
And obviously the human in that pair has the context, understands everything, and is coaching the AI to here's what I want and here's what good looks like. And here's the right things to test and all that. So I just kind of want to call that out, that we're not talking about, hey, use AI to write a little simple function for you or something like that.
No, we're talking about much higher, but we're not going to the extreme. I think where a lot of the hype is today, where it talks about we can get rid of all the engineers,
replacing engineers. That's so not realistic.
Yeah, I would say today, and maybe in a good amount of near future thinking, we're probably not going to get there.
Yeah. The robots are not coming.
The robots are they're not replacing us just yet. The idea there is there's a level of, and I have a funny story about what I think things would go, and I'll just probably share it just
Please,
for
yes.
just kind of turning on light bulbs here.
Sure.
The level of capability that AI can do is actually a 10x of what we got from IntelliSign.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's what I think the focus should be on.
If it has the right context.
That's the challenge. So as an entry level or even a senior engineer, when I sit down and write a piece of feature, I'm thinking about patterns, I'm thinking about algorithms, I'm thinking about how to solve technically to provide a value. The difference between an entry and a senior is the senior's gotten a lot more experience in patterns and context and what works in production.
Right.
But they've also, what the entry level hasn't done is read the books on the different third parties, what other professionals are doing in the field, what tools are provided, where that context, that knowledge may not yet resonate in the entry level.
Right.
That's the difference between an entry and a senior in AI world.
Right.
Where in the past, you had to do two things. One, first get up to speed on all that. And then two, the time consuming part of it of writing it. Like no matter how much you know about the development is time consuming.
Right. Getting to know the code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The power, and going back off of our prior episode, today's power is not replacing engineers. Today's power is, hey, I have a backlog story. That story was to deliver something that was an 8. I'm going to take an extreme number.
Thin slice.
Exactly. I got it done in 15 minutes.
Right.
How so?
Yeah.
That's the power. That's the golden power of AI today.
It definitely goes back to, writing good stories. Good stories need to be simple, small, clean,
right.
All that good stuff. So
right.
if we could though, share your story.
Oh yeah. I have lots of stories. An interesting one. A friend of mine shared a story actually at work. He hired somebody out of a really top university, and they came in entry level, and he was shocked.
They were computer science.
Computer science.
Yeah.
He was shocked. He was like, this guy only learned Python in college, and he did all this stuff in Python. But he's coming in using a language he doesn't know, because they have to develop in different languages.
Right.
C#, Java, depending on the clients, because they're customer facing.
Yeah.
So they're in the professional services, customer facing. They have to adhere to the customer's toolings.
Right.
And he's like, this guy comes in, doesn't know these languages, doesn't know all the patterns, but he's outpacing my senior engineers.
Right.
How? So I asked him, I was like, so he's using AI? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's how. He has the background, he has the understanding, but now he's level set with
he knows
seniors.
how to give the AI context.
That's the difference.
Thus he can get a lot done very quickly.
That's the difference.
Okay.
So I thought that was a very interesting transformation is probably the way to think about it.
Yep.
How your computer science grad today, their capabilities are not what we expect them to be in 2019.
Okay, so let's talk about the developer team as a whole. Right. And the different levels, I guess, of a developer team. Typically, you're going to have an entry-level developer, you're going to have a mid-level developer, and a senior.
Yeah.
This is all about their experience as developers, right? Your tenure in the company, for me, doesn't really matter that much.
Right.
Yes, you got to understand the politics and the tribal
it's a different
knowledge and all
senior
that,
concept, yeah.
Yeah. But the idea of now, because all three are going to be more or less pair programming, somewhat, pairing at least, with AI.
Yeah.
So like,
And
what do these different roles look like now?
Yeah, and if you're not, you're missing out.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think this goes back to truly differentiating experience. In the past, we differentiated experience as if you're senior, that means you're coming in with capabilities to write those complex algorithms because somebody had to write them.
Right.
I think senior today is like we go back to, here's a good example. We go back to saying like an architect, somebody who has breadth and depth, where we also relate that to an engineer. And I don't know if this is, like, I honestly don't buy into this, but this is conversation that, or common understanding.
Right.
Engineers have depth. So what that means is that they'll have a language, they have patterns, and they're very deep in those patterns.
Okay.
So they produce quickly. Their senior level capability means I could turn over code much faster, quality code, enterprise code. And I think a lot of times we miss the concept of enterprise. I put any piece of code in production is enterprise.
Right.
I got users. System can go down. Features need to be released.
Yeah,
like
they're
the worst,
things are immediately being consumed.
the worst case scenario is it's not working. We don't know why.
Yeah.
How do you troubleshoot?
Yeah.
Right? If without enterprise capabilities, you're stuck. Or it could take you weeks to recover.
Okay.
That's a challenge, right?
And so the entry, as we've said, the entry level programmer, they don't have as much context about the product
Right.
or the organization or anything, but they're typically in the past they were coders, right?
Right.
Heads down every day, picking stuff off the backlog, coding.
Right.
But now it's more about managing context with AI. Paired with AI, AI is going to be able to write most of the code, but it's only as good as the information it's given.
Right.
Right. And it loses context every time you disconnect from it.
Correct.
Right.
It loses context. It will complete the job,
It will.
but it doesn't mean it actually completed the job.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
And so then moving into a mid-level developer, classically, that's somebody that's beginning to architect and design, right? And maybe help shape stories, but an influencer, right? They don't have the answers necessarily because they just don't have the background. They're also paired with AI, but it's different.
Yes.
And they're because they are writing code, right? But they're doing more reviewing, right? A little less formal code writing. They're reviewing. They're checking design, and they're using the large language models to help maybe configure a third-party service that's being used, as part of the design, making sure they're getting the most out of it, making sure no bad decisions are making, it's secure, that sort of thing.
Right.
A little more architecting.
That's right.
And then you get on to the senior developer on the team. Now, classically, that's been someone that writes very little code, right?
You're right.
They're either leading the team possibly, or they are signing off on stories. They're signing off on features. They're
making some technical decisions, tooling,
working with the business, understanding the business.
Yeah.
They're a lot more business focused, right? That's classically what it is.
That's true.
Same idea now, but to help shape things, you're using AI.
Right.
For that.
Right.
And so, the modern development team, all three levels of developers are using AI, but they're using them in different ways.
This is, in my opinion, getting into the art of the field. How you form and how you define the different roles, no doubt is changing. No doubt. The reason they're changing is a tool is giving them a power, and really I say power, but what I mean by that is helping the ability to produce and determine information quickly. As a senior, from a principal, from an architect, and even development, I honestly don't differentiate. Like, I'm not in just to set up a context. My definition of a senior is not necessarily going into just business. It's actually getting into the level of saying, I can help lead and drive large products from the design, thinking about the architecture, thinking about execution,
right?
Thinking about delivery.
Yeah, the whole story.
The technology.
Yeah.
It's a difference because my hands have gone into the pots over the years.
Yeah.
Now I could frame around it. That's the difference, I think. My use of AI is giving me the ability to do things I couldn't do in the past because we didn't really have time.
Move faster, right?
And what does faster mean? When I go to think about how do I start my any kind of product, any kind of challenge, I started with a system specification. Obviously, after understanding the product and understanding design and things like that, the first thing from an engineering perspective, and I'm kind of focused just on engineering, I start to think about the system design. The classic 80% of development is planning. 20% is actually writing code.
80-20. Don't please don't.
We're going to have to. A lot of the 80% actually in the past was really writing code. And then 20% going back saying, this didn't work, so I got to go back and rewrite the code. And then you do that, and then 20% again is like, I got to go back and rewrite the code. So before you know it, it's like you've spent months writing and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. Today with AI, and I think this should excite a lot of people, and I'm doing this in practice, I'm actually writing a system specification, working with AI, pairing with AI, to write the thing in a matter of a couple of days.
Yeah, it's fast.
And then looking at it saying, nope.
Once you harness it, man, you can move fast.
Oh, and I'm like, nope, that's not right. So I go back to the system specification. I'm like, that's why.
Yeah.
So now my iteration is so much faster.
Yeah, because you're not writing through the syntax of code.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not. And that syntax of code, me trying to struggle and really figure out the language, and no language is perfect. There's a lot of complications in every language. Memory management, the ability to write the function, the ability to structure things. You get to a certain point, and it's like, I can't restructure this. I have to rewrite it.
Yeah.
With AI, I could be like, sure, just rewrite it. Oh, the language is not right. That's okay.
Change it over.
System spec is going to allow you to say, I'm going to move from C# to Java to Go to Rust, C. It doesn't matter. But I'm able to switch quickly and even take parts of it and switch it quickly because of AI.
Okay. I'm going to leave you with a very cynical point of view,
Go for it.
having covered all this, with the notion of pair programming with AI. Now, because we're saying that developers, aren't writing as much code, they're more, managing the AI and the context and all that. What that means is the developers have more time for the toil and the paperwork and the tickets and all that. I'm just going to leave you with my cynical point of view because they're not having to be, at the screen writing the code so much.
I will debate that because I don't think that is exactly what's happening. What I think is happening, and the need for more engineers, is that actually you are, as an engineer, now able to do the computer science part.
Yeah.
Come up with new patterns. Figure out better ways to do things.
Such a positive thinker.
Oh, you have to be. But imagine as an engineer, as a computer science major, the beauty of the job is data structure and algorithms.
Yeah. That's what
If I had more
doing.
time to do that and I could still deliver my story in a timely fashion, how much better quality code are we delivering?
Oh, you're just okay.
It changes the whole scenery.
Yeah.
Yep. In our next episode, we'll talk about why your staging environment is sabotaging your production release. Thanks for listening to Go Into Production. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing to our podcast, and we'll see you next time.